What's up, guys? How y'all doing? A lot of things in my mind today. I wanted to make sure I get this content out for you guys. Yeah, honestly, when I make these videos, it helps me out a lot too. It helps me get out of my comfort zone. It helps me really feel into what I want to feel that day. It helps me express and really see in a lot of ways how I feel sometimes, right? I mean, again, I told you guys before, I do a lot of meditation, a lot of journaling. All these things help me stay on top of how I actually feel. But when I get on camera, when I get to speak to you guys, there's like a different side of me that comes out, a different side of my leadership that really shows how I truly feel about a lot of ways in life, all right? So what I want to talk about today is kind of shines light on that whole aspect of how I am nowadays. You see, throughout all of my developmental years, I was around a multitude of different environments and people. You see, when I was early on in high school, I had multiple friend groups, like I told you guys the other day. I had friends that were my friends for a long time, like since elementary school, which were my main friends, you could say, right? My best friends. I had friends that were into sports. Once I got into sports, they were pretty good friends. I hung out with them. I had a lot of fun with them on the field, so on and so forth. Then I had friends that were just kind of ones that I was in classes with a lot for whatever reason, like year over year, right? I had all these different friend groups and all these different habits from those friend groups, right? I hung out around with some of the popular kids, so I went and did what they did, right? Which was going around and hang out on the weekend, When I hung around my best friends from earlier on, I wanted to stay around them even more so on the weekends, and things moved around, shifted around, right? Well, as I got into my later teenage years, I say later teenage, I mean freshman, sophomore year, my best friends, you could say, the ones that I was friends with throughout all of elementary school, middle school, and high school, most of them, not all of them, most of them started hanging around, including myself, certain crowds that were older than us, a couple years older than us, if not 4 or 5 years older than us, and we started making some very bad decisions, like I've told you before. Right? We were getting into stealing from people, doing stupid robbery stuff at stores, gas station, that kind of stuff. We got into a lot of drugs. We had just overall tons of negative experiences that we were allowing to be our life because it seemed cool, right? Again, here we were, freshmen and sophomores, hanging out with juniors and seniors that were doing these kind of things and making it seem really cool, right? Whether it was the music, the things we would do for entertainment, the habits, whatever you want to say. These things will get us really enticed and energized about doing these very idiotic things, right? But you're young, you do stupid stuff sometimes. Sure, absolutely, you definitely do. You're always going to make mistakes. It's not about not making mistakes. It's about being in the right groups and the right environments to where you make the wrong mistakes the right amount of time so you learn from them. You see, what we were doing was just getting into those terrible environments where mistakes were just the norm, right? Making bad decisions. You didn't view those bad decisions as bad decisions. You just did them because they sounded fun. And what followed was ugliness. But we didn't realize that. We were having fun. We were being cool, right? I bring all of this up because things are on my mind today on the aspect of what's cool, what's socially acceptable by the groups you're in. Again, we got into drugs. We weren't just doing like smoking weed and stuff. No, we were on pills, fentanyl. I actually had one homie died from fentanyl, 2 of his friends. One of them was actually one that robbed me at one point. He's gone now. Another one, never had good interactions with him, gone. A different one that was real close friends with them, gone. And these are young guys, right? I mean, I was 15 or 16 probably 17, 18 whenever the 2 passed. The one that was actually my friend, he passed when I was probably 16 or 17, right there when I was getting out of all of that, the drugs I'm talking about. And these guys, they were ones. We have a spark call today, and this week is about being loud in the right ways, being a leader in the right ways, being assertive, not being just loud for the sake of being loud, not being loud and reckless. Well, these ones that passed away, God rest their soul, they were loud in the reckless way. They were loud and led themselves in this negative way. Truth be told, at my older age now, I can see the truth that it is. They were just misguided young kids, right? They were older than me, but they just had terrible environments that they were raised in and grew up in, and they chose to stay in them, though, ultimately. So they surely had opportunities to get out, but they made the decisions to stay around and manifest what came, which was those negative things, the drugs, the environments, the habits. They stayed in those. And so they passed early on. And it's very sad. The family members of those people will never forget them, because assuringly, I'll tell you what, right now, they saw the goodness in those people. They saw the bright sides in those people. They were all people. Again, the one that robbed me, the other ones that were I never had good interactions with, I can still see at this age that they had something good inside. They had something great inside of them, because we all do. But because of their choices, first and foremost, and their environments, they went down the wrong road, and they're not here anymore today. Another friend of mine, one of my best friends, God rest his soul, he went out with drugs too. It was his own choice though. It wasn't exactly pleasurable paradise bullshit such as drug use on the other side. His was a chosen death by use of heart medication. One of my best friends all throughout high school, and always a funny guy. Always one that he'd make you smile, make you laugh in the goofiest ways. He'd bring out the fun in any situation. I remember so many times me and him would walk and just walk, right? Because we live out in the country, but we had to go out and do stuff during the summer, right? We'd walk miles on the road just to go to the gas station, do whatever. I remember working with a gas station right down the road now. We worked, an hour or two just for the lady there because his mom knew her. And just to get a couple dollars or a pack of wraps to smoke. I think that's what it was. And so, but back to my point of who he was such a funny guy, right? But I always worried about him and worried about how things would end up for him, because he was always open with me about his sadness, at least in the way he knew how to at freshman, middle school years. And one day, there's a lot of stories around that, I could tell, but one day he made a decision. He made a decision to end his life. And in those last moments of his life, by the stories I've heard and the way that I knew him, I know he regretted it. And I feel him around me. I feel his presence. I feel his spirit with me everywhere I go. Me and my wife have numerous stories about him and his energy still being here. Different crazy stories. They coincide with my daughter being born. I'll get into that all another day. My point of bringing it up here, though, is that he made that decision. He made that decision to go out in that way in that moment, based on all those emotions that he felt, based on everything that he knew. I can't even sit here, obviously, and describe it in any way, because nobody truly knows exactly your pain. You can feel that someone does, but nobody ever truly knows it. But because of his pain, because of the ways he felt about life in general, he chose that route. And he's a big reason why I do the things that I do. Another huge reason. Because I don't want another teenager to feel that they have to go that route, that they need to go that route, that route is any bit of an idea that makes sense. Because my friend, I said teenager, anybody's any age, there's never a reason to commit suicide. We are all such infinite beings of light and energy and abundance. We all have our own potential to be so full of love, so courageous, so brave, so honorable, whatever you want to say, full of integrity, the highest of standards. We all have the potential. We all are one and the same human spirit. It's the body that differs. It's the body that can be taught to pull us down. You see, the spirit's always there. The spirit always wants you to come up. The spirit always wants to breathe life into the body. And it will continuously. It will breathe life into the body until the body is no longer there. But you have to be willing to listen to that spirit. You have to be willing to reconcile the animal, the fleshly ways that your body, that your animal has come to understand. This is the subconscious mind. This is the mind within that you may not fully understand until you really look into it. This is the some 90% of your thoughts on a day-to-day basis. This is where your sadness habits really live. This is where your habits of anxiety and depression live. This is where, likewise, this is where your habits of positivity and gratitude and joy and appreciation live. You see, but it's our conscious mind that then impregnates our subconscious mind. It's our conscious mind that allows us to choose the direction we're headed in life. Now, our subconscious mind is always there, bearing over us and helping us make decisions. It is the feeling side of us. It is where our feelings reside. It's where we have began to understand our feelings. right? Or a lack thereof understanding, right? What I'm trying to say is that our conscious mind is 75% of our thoughts. We get to guide the boat with our conscious mind, but we have to we have to begin to understand and work on our subconscious mind and how it's affecting those decisions that we're making. Because if we don't understand that subconscious mind, we don't know why we're sad. We don't know why we're upset. We don't know why we're not happy, why we're not fulfilled. We don't know why we're addicted to substance or entertainment. You see, we have to work on these things. We have to take it day by day by day, one step at a time, to understand the subconscious mind, to meditate on who we are, to understand who it is that we're trying to be. So then we can make the conscious decisions to move forward in a different direction. But you see, if we don't ever take the time to understand who we are, if we don't ever take the time to reflect on what we've been through and how it made us feel, we won't ever know who we are, truthfully. We won't ever know what we would want to stand up for. We won't ever know what is so divinely right for us to be a part of and around. We'll just be drifting through life like a plastic bag, once again. But should we take the time to develop that side of ourselves, to develop the bridge between our logical and an emotional mind, the subconscious and the conscious mind, if we take this time to develop the intertwining and the understanding rather than the dissolution and the avoidance of one another, this is how we get to be the person that we want to be, truthfully. This is how we begin to rewire our thoughts, rewire our emotions, so we can live more of a fruitful way, the way that we actually want to live. We wrap our mind and life around real life that we actually enjoy and choose to be a part of. But if we don't take the time to develop that connection, develop that path, and develop that side of ourselves, it's a very low chance that we'll get there naturally, or by happenstance. And I explain all of this today to highlight that this is what's going on in everyday life. By the time we're teenagers, we have been going through life for 14 years, in beginning of years, 13 years. And that's when you hit puberty. That's when all these things start to change with the body, the flesh. And you have to be willing and ready and able to wake up and start moving the puzzle pieces of your life into the right direction. You see, it's our parents' job to do as best as they can throughout those formative years of our life, but whether they do or whether they don't, you're still going to have things to work through. You're still going to have a problem to solve. You're still going to have a situation to fix and make better for yourself. And brother, that's an opportunity. You see, if your parents raised you to be perfect, if that's even a possibility, it's not. But if, let's say, hypothetically, you were raised to be perfect and they helped you in every way, you still have a ton of problems. It would be boring if that's what the case was. Like if you had nothing to work through, you had no things to grow through and become different, you'd probably end up suicidal yourself, because life is about growth. Life is about having something to fight through and work through and make progress through. Like that's what life is all about. If you don't have something to grow through, you're going to be unhappy. Something that's been on my mind a lot recently is the balance between how the body wants progress and growth. The body, the animal wants progress and growth, so we have to respect that. But the spirit wants peace. The spirit wants peace and autonomic, okayness, right? So we have to find this balance, right? Because if we are chronically stressed out because we are making progress, but we're stressed out, the spirit begins to fade away. The spirit ruminates in our body, and we face physical illness in different ways, because that spirit has to be at peace in some way or another, or it's going to fight for it at least. And if we only focus on our body and we focus on the physical, that spirit gets left behind. Conversely, if we only work on peace, we have peace and that's great, but at least from my understanding at this point in my life, the body will always want progress. And you can make progress through peace is one of the things, right? I said it for years, I'd love to go and live with some Tibetan monks or some sort of monks or whatever for however long. I'm a person who believes that a lot of success is subtractive, and in my journey, I've subtracted a lot of technological involvement. I use it nowadays because I have a mission. I have a mission to spread. I have greatness to express. right? But I know at some point in my life I will end up in some sort of monk-based retreat. What would that look like? I have no idea. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how time plays out. But this process of understanding peace and inhabiting peace while also making progress, this is the balance. This is the yin and yang. This is the process that brings us through life in a fruitful way. All right? Guys, I know this has been a complete dump today, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. The stories I've shared with you today are these friends from high school. One very grave that obviously meant so much to me. Don't ever feel like you have to take yourself out to end the pain, because pain always ends. There will be new pains, but it's about creating the system, the process to inhabit it all in a peaceful way. And that takes time. We have to give ourselves grace. We have to give ourselves peace and continue on the path even when it's hard. Because we must know that there is something greater on the other side. Not only on the other side, but right here today. No matter how hard it is, there's always something to look forward to and be grateful for. This is the process of having faith. This is the process of loving life. Continue on the path, my friend. Continue on. Let's go.